Hi and welcome to Knitting Blooms. Today is Saturday, November 12th, and this is episode number 29. And welcome to the show. Thanks for stopping by to watch the show. If you are a new viewer, thank you for checking out the show, and if you're a previous viewer, thanks for coming back for more. You might notice that I am kind of a little nasally today. I have had a cold all week. And I want to say that it had a lot to do with being worn out from last weekend. When I came home last weekend, I was exhausted. And literally after I recorded and my husband and I were sitting on the couch, he must have had a busy weekend as well while I was gone, because we were sitting on the couch and we're both like, oh, we're so tired. Let's go to bed. And then we looked at the clock and it was 6:45. Yeah, we weren't going to bed at 6:45. We were both really tired and we almost went to bed at 6:45, but we decided if we went to bed at 6:45, we'd be up at 2 a.m. So we ended up staying up and watching a few more shows, and then we went to bed. So needless to say, because I've been sick all week, I haven't done a huge amount of knitting. I did attend a craft day today, and I did quite a bit of work today, and I did quite a bit last night, just because I know I needed to get some stuff done. But almost all of my projects have had no progress whatsoever. And some of them will be ripped or frogged or whatever you want to call it after the show. So we'll get right into it, and then I'll explain as I go along. The sock yarn blanket, which is not in the vicinity right now, had no work on it this week. I also did not work on the modified Lady Eleanor. Oops. It is in the vicinity, so I'll show it to you just because I feel like I have to show you something, because really, there's going to be not a whole lot of show and tell today. No progress. Here it is. If you're a new viewer, you haven't seen it, so here it is. It is an entrelac shawl that I'm kind of using bits and pieces of other shawls. I want to say I cast on 80 stitches, and there's 8 stitches in each block, and it's just going and going until I run out of yarn. Well, I guess just shy of being running out of yarn. But this week, no progress on that project. And you see, this is still the ball, the last piece. I mean, I have this much left of the second ball, and I can't even get that done. So no progress on that. The basic socks, which are also right here. Again, this is, I don't know why I have trouble with this bag. These socks are done out of Socks That Rock, and I didn't even move my stitch marker from last week. That's from last week. That's not progress from this week. But this is Socks That Rock, medium weight. And I didn't move this stitch marker either. That's also from last week. This is medium weight, and I want to say that I have 72 stitches. I'm moving my marker, so if I do happen to pick up this week, the marker will already be moved for me. I want to say there's 76 stitches, or maybe 72. Yeah, 74 stitches. Sammy, are you going to sit no. You can sit still on my lap. So, no, that's my water. Come on. Just sit down. There you go. So, no progress on that. This is a quick project, but again, when you're sick, you don't really feel like doing a whole lot of anything. And I came home from work this week and pretty much camped out on the couch for the entire evening. And if you were on Plurk and you saw a picture, I had 4 cats sitting on the couch with me earlier this week. I mean, because I was gone last weekend and they didn't get to see me at all, and then I was stationary, not moving, when usually I'm up and about and moving all over the place. The cats, they just came and sat down next to me and didn't want to move. They were kind of hogging the couch, so I couldn't lay down, but that was okay. So that's the basic socks. Okay, so that was basic socks. More basic socks. Also, no love. These socks are done out of online, and I've made no progress on them. These socks I think have more stitches on them. I have no idea how many. You know what? I think the other ones had they didn't have 74. They had 54. Yeah, they had 54 stitches. The other one, the ones for the basic socks, the more socks that rock. And I counted it. My brain wasn't adding correctly. That was 54 stitches. This one I think has more. I think it has 72. 36 and 36. Yeah. So, no progress. Again, my stitch markers are at the previous week's marker. But I'm enjoying these socks. They are on size 0s. I like a lot of my socks on smaller needles and tighter weave, because when they're looser, for some reason, they seem to, I mean, they don't cut into the bottom of my feet, but if the fabric isn't tightly woven, then they feel uncomfortable to me. So I like my socks very tight. I think that if I liked using double points, I would possibly knit socks on double zeros and triple zeros, because I do have those socks or those sizes in triple points. That would be quite interesting, in double points. But I don't particularly like to knit socks on double points. I love the look of it, and I love watching people knit socks on double points. I don't like to knit socks on double points. Magic loop is definitely my method of choice for socks or mittens or any other small circumference knitting. Okay, the sofa saver, which I'm not going to pull out of the bag because there's so much other stuff in the bag, got no love either this week. So if you're new to the podcast, the sofa saver is a little, kind of a small little blanket type thing that I'm knitting for my cats to knead in. I don't even have a picture on Ravelry yet. I really need to take some pictures this week. The bear, last week I told you that I got the legs done, and I promised that the arms would be done. Well, I got one arm done, and I did it today at 4:30 when I was at the craft day, and I got one arm done. That was it. Took me about a half hour to do the one arm. The other arm will be done by the end of the weekend. This bear will be complete by the end of the weekend, because really I would really like to send off these bears as well as the 4 that I have, and I think Michelle is going to give me her bears. In fact, should have gotten them from her today, but that's okay. Michelle, get me your bears so I can send them off together. But there you go. There's her little legs and her skirt. I am going to start another bear as soon as this one's done. This one seems to have kind of hung on there for a bit too long, but I will be starting another one as soon as this one is done. I'm enjoying knitting them. I just need to say I need to do it instead of just procrastinating them. But right now, I have so many things on the needles. Can you blame me for not working on every single project? So, of the projects that I've mentioned so far, this is the only one that has had progress. And I'm counting 10 yards for the arm. I don't know if it was that many or might have been more, but I'm guesstimating 10 yards for the arm because I guesstimated 20 yards for the legs last week. So one arm, 10 yards. So that's it on that. The Cintron, actually I'll go ahead and talk about the simple double crochet blanket. This is the project that I've been telling you all along that is kind of like my way to get my yardage. And last night oops. Oh, there goes my needle, my crochet hook. It's under there, I'll have to get it. Last night I sat down and I had not worked on it all week. And I was determined to get 5 stripes done this week. So last night I forced myself to work on this and I got 3 of the 5 stripes done this week. Here's my marker down here, and I have a purple, a green, a purple, a green, and another purple. So I did get my 5 stripes done. I got 3 of them done last night while the cats were sitting on my lap. It was quite difficult trying to turn this over every time I got to the end of a row, with Sammy trying to lay on it and Crystal trying to lay on it. But I made it happen, and then I crocheted the last 2, this green stripe and this purple stripe, at the craft day today. I have 1 more green ball. Technically, I have 2 more green balls and a purple ball. However, I went to go wind that other green ball, and I don't know what happened in the winding of the skein, but it is a complete mess. It's one of those things that you can't put on your Swift and just let it wind off onto a ball winder. I don't know what happened with it. It's almost like, and I don't know if this can happen, but when you're winding on a nitty knotty, if you cross them where you're not supposed to cross them, I think that they get all jumbled up. And I can't imagine that a commercial yarn is wound on a nitty knotty, but who knows. But that would be my guess as to what the problem is. So I'm not even sure I'm going to use that skein. In fact, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to use that skein because I think it's just going to be a huge mess. So, like I said, I have 1 more green ball. I need to do 1 more green stripe. The last purple ball, I think I'm going to do a rim around the outside. And if you remember at the beginning, I found 1 ball without beads in it. So I think what I'm going to do is do the 1 round of the purple around the edge, and then 1 round of green, just to kind of finish it off. As I was doing this, I have no idea how I decreased stitches, but you might be able to see this in the picture. I tried to fix it, but okay, we're gonna try this again. I was using my husband's SLR camera, and I am still camera challenged. I definitely do not know how to use the SLR, and so anytime I use that camera in the future, my husband has to be on site. He can't be off at the hardware store or at his sister's house or anywhere else but within yelling distance. I got through that segment a minute ago when I was talking about the simple double crochet blanket, and then all of a sudden the card said full. I'm like, okay, well, I had forgotten to take off the files from the last time I recorded on his camera off of the disc. So I'm like, okay, I'll hurry up and do that and then keep recording. Well, I put it back in the camera, the card back in the camera, and when I turned the camera back on, it said battery low. Well, he has the camera on some kind of an extended grip. So those batteries were dead. So I thought, okay, I'll just take it off the grip and put the original battery back in and go. Well, I put the card back in and it still says card full. So I have no clue. I don't know if you're supposed to delete the stuff from the camera. I know that that's kind of how things work. On the flip, you have to delete it from the flip versus deleting it, just throwing it in the trash. So who knows? So if you see me looking down and over here, it's because my computer is over there and this camera is connected to my computer. And the reason I'm doing it this way is last time when I recorded on the computer, I kind of heard that hum of the computer fan, so I'm trying to eliminate that. So the computer's over here, and I'll glance down at it every once in a while just to make sure things are still running properly. So anyway, now that we've had that distraction, back to the blanket. I was starting to tell you that on the blanket, I have this big curve that goes, and I don't know, you can't really, it's really kind of hard to see. I can see it because it's like in this section alone, I mean, if I hold it how I think it's supposed to be, it goes like this. I mean, I don't know, somehow on this edge, I think I just deleted like a stitch every single row somehow. It's really wonky. But since this is just a blanket for cuddling on the couch, mostly for the cats to kind of cuddle up in, for me to cuddle up in, I'm not worried about it. If it was a gift, which I have done that in the past, where I've either added stitches or decreased stitches somehow in crochet blankets, I don't know how I do it, but somehow I've done it, I will rip it back and redo it. But since it's not a gift and it's just for me and the cats and to keep warm, I'm not worried about it. So that's why I'm going to do that border around the outside where I'm going to put the purple and then the green. And hopefully that will kind of balance it out a little bit. I'm not planning on doing any blocking on this or anything like that. It's not a very big blanket. Obviously, you can see here one side to the other. It's pretty much a lap blanket. But like I said, I have one more stripe to go for the actual stripe, and then I'm going to put the edging on it. That will more than likely be done this week, unless I just move along on my other projects and don't work on this one. Because obviously this week, this is the only project that got a lot of work on it, and that was mostly because I knew I needed to get my yardage. I did do 5 stripes. Well, nearly 5 stripes, because I think I was a row and a half done on the one stripe before. So I did 365 yards on this project this week. So that's the bulk of my yardage this week. The next project is the Cintron, which got no love. It's still in the exact same spot. This beautiful, beautiful yarn, and I'm not even using it. Well, I am using it, but not currently. I haven't been knitting on it. It is being worked on my signature needles, and I am using the stitch markers that I got from Lois in my goodie bag for the Podcaster Challenge. They're square little stitch markers, and they're kind of cool. So I'm enjoying it when I do work on it. The stitch marker, I think I moved during the last episode, and it's not been moved since. So hopefully this week we'll see more knitting time and not so much sick time, and I can get stuff done. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and talk about Bacardi. Well, Sammy is laying on the bag. Can I have this? I mean, she's literally laying on the bag. Can I have it? Oh, sorry. All right. Bacardi. Last week, I told you that I had to rip back the arm because it was on the wrong size needles. Well, guess what? The entire sweater is on the wrong side needles. Yeah. I must have put 2 size 4s on the needles and put them both with this project when one was supposed to be a size 4 and one was supposed to be a size 5. So, the work that I ripped out last week at Knitting in the Mitten, for no reason, because when I got home after I podcasted, I checked my sweater, and the gauge on the sweater was the same as the gauge on the sleeves. So I must have knit the entire sweater in a size 4. Not a good thing. So needless to say, all the progress that I had ripped out last week had to get re-knit for no reason. I mean, obviously I need sleeves on my cardigan, so it had to be re-knit, but I didn't have to rip it out. But I did get quite a bit done. Last week I was right at the cuff, and this week I have this much done. It's about halfway from where I ripped it out. Halfway of what is there. And I hope you're not hearing the fan. I'm hearing the fan on the laptop. So I'm hoping that it's far enough away. It's not too far away. It's just down a little bit. But hopefully it's far enough away where you're not hearing it. Where before I had the camera sitting right on top of the laptop. So that was even closer. So I am using my stitch markers that I got from Sarah at Rain Lover Knits. She has an Etsy shop. And I love these little stitch markers that are just kind of like the wire. And this stitch marker was made for me by Deborah Was Unwilling. She gave me that at the last knitting retreat in April. It's such a tiny little wire thing that I don't even know if you can really even see it on the camera. I can't see it on the screens. Oh, I don't know how you'll be able to see it. Maybe if you watch the podcast on a big screen television, you can see it. So I have made decent amount of progress on this week. I did about 138 yards. But like I said, what I ripped out last week was twice as much as this. So although I have gotten back some of my progress, not all of it. So, you know, it happens. I don't mind so much. This project is so fun to knit. I love the yarn. I love the colors. Just seeing the colors come out. I just want to knit another row and another row and another row. So that's the one nice thing about this project, is that it doesn't bother me so much that I have to re-knit almost half of a sleeve, because I think I had a good 9 inches on the sleeve. So probably from here to here that I ripped out. But, you know, what are you going to do? I ripped it out. I guess I should have waited till I got home, but it was one of those things where it was the end of the night. I just wanted to get it out of the way, get it done, and be able to start fresh the next day. But in this case, as it turned out, I was a little too hasty. So this is going to be one of my projects that I'm going to spend a good bit of time on this week, because I'd really like to get that completed. It'd be so nice to be able to wear a cardigan. I'm hoping to be able to block it a little bit bigger, because it is done on a smaller size needle. I think I was supposed to be getting 5 stitches per inch, and I'm getting 6 stitches per inch, so over the size of the sweater. That could be an inch or 2, I don't know how many. I didn't calculate this number of stitches, but when I tried on the body after I did the button band, it seemed reasonable without blocking, and cotton usually blocks and stretches a little bit, so I'm hoping I'll be okay. Let's just keep our fingers crossed. I do have enough yarn to make another sweater if that should happen, but I hope that doesn't happen. So yeah, I hope I don't have to knit another sweater. Although I do have enough yarn in other colors. If you can see right here, these colors in the purples and blues and tans and whites, teal, or kind of an aqua. I will be making one in that colorway too because I am really enjoying the pattern. So that is the Bacardi. The next thing on the needles is the Multnomah. And this got no love either. In fact, when I pulled it out today, I decided that this was going to be frogged. Not frogged and not knitted, but frogged and used and done on larger needles. These are size 3 signatures. And last week I think I mentioned that I was feeling like the fabric was a little bit dense for my liking for a shawl. I mean, it's going to be a warm shawl, but I don't know. I'm just feeling like the fabric is a little too dense. And we were talking about it today, and Valerie had told me that she knit an entire lace scarf and was, I think, something like 8 rows away from bind off, and decided to frog it and knit something else with that yarn. Because the entire time that she was knitting it, she just kept thinking she wasn't really liking how the pattern was, how the yarn was pooling, or how the pattern was or wasn't coming out with the yarn variegation. And she knit the entire thing and was 8 rows from finishing. And then she decided to frog it because she just wasn't feeling it throughout the entire project. And we decided that if the little voice is talking to you, telling you that you should be doing something slightly different with a project, and you're this far along on it, maybe it's time to listen to the little voice and just go with your gut instinct. So I will be ripping it out and putting it on size 4s. I think the fabric will be a lot more drapier and more relaxed. I think that I might have to decrease the number of increased stitches on this and not increase as much before I start the feather and fan part, or I will run out of yarn. So I have to kind of work those details out. I kind of have to look at the pattern. What I'll probably end up doing is figure out how many stitches are in each repeat, and probably only sorry. And probably only increase to one less repeat. Well, it probably will be 2 because you'll probably have to have it on 2 sides, but I'll have to work out the details. When I figure all that out, I'll let you know how I'm going to do it. But this yarn that I'm using is the yarn that I dyed and spun, and it was Navajo plied. I think I have 440 yards. The pattern calls for 412 yards. So I think I'm going to need more yards if I stick with the way the pattern's written. So if I'm making no sense and you're like, no, you don't need that, this is what you need, please contact me and tell me that I've lost my mind and that I'll still have plenty of yarn if I do it on a size 4. I don't think I will because the pattern calls for a size 3. I didn't check gauge, but maybe I should try that and see what kind of gauge I'm getting, because maybe I'm knitting too tight and maybe actually a size 4 would be fine. You know, maybe I should think about those things, but when your head is congested as much as it is, as mine is right now, I don't think about that. But yeah, I probably will try and check my gauge and see maybe I'm getting the right gauge, or maybe I'm getting too many stitches per inch and going up to the needle size would be fine. And I won't even have to make a modification to the pattern. We will see how that goes. The next project is Stinky Pink, which made some progress. but it's also going to be frothed. Not because I don't like it. I love it. The problem is I'm knitting too tight. I'm on a size 0, and typically I knit loose, and I've had to go down on needle sizes in order to get gauge. Here's how much I've done. This is the back, this is the palm side, but here's my marker, and I've done that much, and on the front it's from here up. And I really do like how it's turning out. What I found out today, and Valerie mentioned to me, is that when you do your swatch flat and then you're knitting in the round typically is tighter than knitting flat. So if you knit your swatch flat but you're planning on knitting in the round, then possibly you might need to go up a needle size, which is what I'm going to do. It fits me fine in the wrist. I'm just afraid that once it starts to go up my hand, it's going to be so constricting that it's not going to be comfortable. Because it is quite snug on my wrist. I mean, it has some stretch and it has some give, and I probably could block it a little bit larger, but why? Why force it? So I am going to go up a needle size. I am doing this on size 0s right now. I'm going to go up a needle size. The nice thing about starting it again is I get to do this the braided cast on, and then the twine border and the corrugated rib again, which was all very fun to do. I had never done any of those techniques, and I've kind of got this on backwards. I'm showing you the palm. So there's the front of the little bit of mitten that I have knit. And also, I love the fact that Valerie talks about yarn dominance in her pattern, so that you know to watch which hand, if you're knitting with both hands, using one with Continental and one with English, to make sure that you always use that color, the color that is your motif color is always held in your left hand, and your background hand, the background color, in this case the white, the background color is held in your right hand, because the motif color, which is held in your left hand, is the one that's going to pop, that's going to stand out more. So that's what you want. So it's very cool. In fact, I might do a 2 swatches showing you the difference if I was to hold the background color in my right hand and the background color in my left hand, because you might be able to see that if you watched the Knit Girls, I think it was last week or the week before, Leslie talked about how when she was doing that little color work at her cuff on her sweater, I guess she used had the yarn held in one hand on one side and the different hand on the other sleeve, so you can see the difference from cuff to cuff. And I'm sure that's what happened, was that one hand with one sleeve she held the dominant yarn in her right hand, and the other one she held it in her left hand. And so it looks different, even though it's the same colors and the same yarn and what have you. Anyway, I really like this project. There's still plenty of time. Mickey, don't touch that, please. There's still plenty of time for you to join the cow. She now has 5 patterns out. She just released the, what is it called? Something, I think it's something below. 0 below, or I'm not sure, but it's really cute snowflake pattern. So you have 5 choices that you can knit. You have until the end of January, and this would be a great Christmas present if you want to take the time and knit some mittens for someone special. So I will be restarting that this week on size 1s. So another project to be ripped out. Luckily, it's not that far along, and really I'd rather rip it out now, just like the Multnomah. Get it ripped out, get it back, get it right on the right needles, so that when I'm done with the project, I can enjoy it instead of saying, oh, I should have ripped it back and changed the needles. I'd rather have my glove be, or my mitten be, a tiny bit too big than too small, because you can almost fix a too big because you can kind of felt it a little bit to shrink it a little bit. Too small is too small no matter what you do. So that is Stinky Pink. And on that one I did knit 11 yards, which wasn't that much, but you're talking about a small little project. And then the Loopy Triangle shawl that I'm doing with the ribbon yarn. No Love. This is it, and didn't even start the next ball. Still hanging out here with the one little piece. So that has to get moving. I think this project will go rather quickly once I actually do it, but again, colds take precedence over knitting sometimes. So that is the Loopy Triangle. I did do my knitting for hire. I finished the knitting part. Well, the main part. It is blocking. It's done blocking actually. I have a few finishing touches to add to it, and then that will be off on its way. I did knit 239 yards on that this week. And even though I got very little knitting done because I really focused on getting some work done on that blanket, I actually knit 525 yards this week on my stash alone, and then the additional 239 on the knitting for hire. So I did quite well. I'm still falling a little bit behind, but better than I expected. And I didn't finish my show notes before I started this, so I don't remember what I'm supposed to talk about. So I'm looking at last week to see what else I need to talk about. But those are my whips. I have a lot of whips going on right now. Like I said, the knitting for hire hopefully will be done this week, and then I can really focus on getting some of these other projects done. The bear will be done this week. Maybe I'll try and focus on getting that simple crochet blanket out of the way. I need to get some of these projects that are nearly done or almost done or close to being done finished so that I can work on the other things that have a lot more time to be put in. What was that? That was interesting. I hope that was my phone and not my computer. We'll see. Okay, I'm still real nervous about using the computer and having everything work properly, so I'm having clips again. Anyway, so yeah, I'm going to try and get some projects completed this week so that I can get going on some other projects. Spinning, not much progress this week. I did spin a tiny bit on this. This is my yarn hollow. I did do a tiny bit on this week, but not a whole lot, and I still have not added anything new to my wheel yet. I was doing some practice stuff on my wheel, and that's pretty much all that I've done this week. Just practicing my technique and kind of going for an intentional spin, where if I'm spinning, I want to be able to get a fingering weight or a DK weight or a worsted weight. I want to be able to set my wheel in such a way that I can just spin and get a different size weight of yarn. And I'm still very new to spinning, so I have not mastered that yet, and I've been practicing. Because I really wanted to be able to spin a DK and a worsted weight for the Knit Girls fiber that I've received. But I don't think I am at that point yet, because right now my default yarn is lace to light fingering. There it goes again. I think that's my phone, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. It must be Facebook or something. Anyway, so my yarn hollow fiber is in my new yarn hollow knitting, or my spindle bag, with the shiny fiber, so that the shiny fabric the smooth silky fabric so that my yarn does not felt on it. It can rub up against it and it's not going to felt, and it's not going to stick to it and get all on the inside. So I'm really liking this bag. I probably would get another one if I thought that I was going to be spinning on multiple spindles at the same time. But knowing me, I probably will only be doing one spindle at a time. So I think for right now, one spindle bag is good. I do hope to start my Knit Girls fiber maybe this week. I know it's not going to be spun and knit within the knit along, but what are you going to do? We did have a couple of spots open for Knitopia for April. Oh, Mickey's he's hitting the tripod, which is what I have the camera sitting on. I believe that we have one spot that can be used for the entire retreat or one weekend or the other, and then one spot that's for one weekend. So if you've been thinking about coming to Knitopia and you haven't contacted me because you heard that all the spots were filled up, there are spots available for weekends. We do have plenty of midweek spots. I think we have 5 or 6 midweek spots available. So if you want to come midweek, you have some time and you can still get in, but I have a feeling that those spots will fill up at some point too. I think that's it. I am going to try and get this uploaded tonight. Probably won't. I think it's 7 something now. Yeah, 7:21. Depending on how long it takes me to edit, it takes an hour just to export, so who knows. Probably not, because I've been so tired I'll probably be going to bed early, but you'll be able to see it tomorrow morning when I get up and I upload it to Blip. So I think that's it, and I hope you guys have a great week. I hope your knitting blooms this week. I'm hoping that I have more knitting time and less cold time. I didn't even run this week. I've been so worn out. So I'll be happy to hopefully get back into running next week too. So again, hope you have a great week. Bye.